The first poem is one entitled How to Paint a Lighthouse. And I guess it serves as a summary to everything else. How to paint a lighthouse. To read a poem is like painting a lighthouse at night, very carefully, very slow, while clinging to a rickety ladder borrowed from the poet. Maybe they sawed a rung so you could slip and splatter like the white paint you dripped on the rocks below. Maybe it's better you spill too. But don't spoil it by looking down or letting go. And don't get distracted lest you miss a spot hanging in the balance. It might be the one that matters, the one that makes the whole thing glow. Thank you. And I'll end it with it's another new one, fairly short. I was talking with Eloisa, who is actually in this anthology but not here right now, about this and how nowadays I tend to drive in silence. Or more recently, I guess I've sort of taken after my father and started turning the radio off, and that's really all this is about. It's called Radio Free USA. On a desert road, the airwaves ran dry, and the radio seeded its broadcasts slow, each channel evaporating into static the way watering holes die. Fingertips roamed the barren dial, like nomads in search of the top 40, bad DJs or advertising to skip. Any voice on which to fix this compass. The off button never figured in, nor that silence is just another station, tuned to a pickup band, the engines thrum, the roadways hum, the wind, the wind, the wind. Thank you. Thank y'all, appreciate it.
Anne Fogelman, writer of memories in prose and poetry, was born in Pennsylvania. She has a graduate degree in public health nutrition and served in the waves during World War II. She reads at open mics, attends workshops, seminars, and is part of various writing groups. Her work has been published in The Noble Generation, That Thing You Do, Pets Across America, Texas Poetry Calendar by Dos Gatos Press, Boundless, They That Go Down to the Sea, and other anthologies and school publications. Fogelman is the lifetime member of the Gulf Coast Poets and its official greeter, and is a member of Poetry Society of Texas, Bay Area Writers League, and Osher Lifetime Learning Institute at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas. She lives in Friendswood, Texas, and is a very beloved member of all our groups, Poetry Works, Gulf Coast Poets, and of Friendswood Library itself. Please welcome Anne Fogelman.
I'm going to read two of my favorite poems. And the first one I'm going to read, I titled Mother's Buttons. And this is the first poem I ever wrote. Mother's Buttons. Clack, clack, clack. A shiny object drops on my kitchen counter, bounces up and down, rolls, spins, falls over, another falls, another and another. I watch them drop. I see a parade. Mother's buttons cascade before my mind's eye. Different sizes, shapes, colors. They form memories of mother and me, cleaning, polishing, cutting them from garments. I see clothes they adorned. And this is another of my favorites that I titled Wind Talk. Listen to messages of a mountain wind, soft taps against windows, whistles around corner of home, rustles branches, leaves scoot across lawns, flutter into piles, pick up speed, whirl through air, shutters bang back and forth, kites soar high. A stormy wind roars like a lion across ground, damages fences, uproots trees, throws berries, pecans, clumps of grass like pellets or missiles. A mild summer wind blows my favorite message, touches face, caresses arms and ankles, coos invitation. Come outside, play with me, breathe deeply, enjoy fresh air, relax.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to be here. I guess I thought we were just going to read from this book, and it looks like we're adding some things, and so I'm going to just read 2 from the book, and then 1 or 2 other ones. I was glad to be in the book. 13 poets, there's some good ones in here. The first one I think I'll read, I actually posted it on Facebook today, or earlier this afternoon. I had forgot that it was in this book when I did that, but it was originally in 3 Savannah Blue, which was 2000, a long time ago. This is the month, April is the month for poetry. It's also the month for migrating tropical birds, and this is basically about that issue. It's called Pishing for Vireos. Everybody know what the word pishing means? Does anybody know what the word pishing means? A lot of people think I misspell it, but I didn't really. Pishing is the sound that bird watchers do to call birds to them. When they're in the woods, they have this little funny sort of psh, psh, psh sound. That's pishing. It's not misspelled. Pishing for vireos. The thought of calling them out of the wilderness becomes an inspiration. Collectively, seeing their color coats of indigo, emeralds, and orange, clear black, white, and bright yellow citron, with shades of taffy, tannin, reflective flashes of Magdalena lipstick, and ruby reds. Then hearing their liquid voices calling out to each other, a flow of connecting cadences and punctuated syllables, such a range of exhibition and such diversity of ordination. Even the one thought lost forever, can we be certain of his non-existence? When upon returning fresh from a shadowy migration valley, the colorful mimic birds still repeat his sterling plaintive song. That was actually originally inspired when I heard a lecture about Peruvian birds, and some ornithologist had recorded in the Lima City Park, actually, had recorded or made a recording of some birds that were, it was like a mimic bird, it was like a parrot of some sort, that was doing the call of a bird that was extinct. And I don't know if you do the math there, they won't do it unless they heard it somewhere. So they originally heard it from the supposedly extinct bird, I suppose. A winter campfire in Angelina Forest. As I draw long into a silky dream, the carefully braided strands holding me home become inelastic and brittle, until each strand slivers away from its quick helical twist, and I follow the dark path beyond the licking flame to the very edge of the black woods, where the smoke of my soul is caught like the cold melon-rind moon that hangs high in this deciduous elm, with clusters of barren limbs silhouetted against a bitter crystalline sky. And I hate that I'm doing this on an iPhone. But I brought the book here. It's supposed to have everything I've written in, or more or less everything I've written in there. But they're not in there. I didn't realize until I was sitting right over there. And they're relatively new poems. So Emoji 31. And some of you know that I have a bunch of poems that I've named Emoji. In a ratcheting wind, salt grasses twist around November roots, and the olive-hued saw palms throb against their crowns. For now, the dunes are sure. Yet as sea foam flashes white around their knees, the sand sinks with each tidal flow. Close offshore, waves rise from the flounder-gray gulf, and wind-driven crystals deflect into a steel-hook sky, while black, shadowless birds drift overhead, crook-winged, in rows.
I'm going to unfold a poem from my pocket real quick. Some people, they write about their spirit animal, whether it's a dog or a bird. Hopefully this doesn't become my spirit animal. This poem is called Roaches. True story. I shudder when I see them on my stove, fluttering wings in the darkness, jutting out erratic spasms when the lights flush on. There's an infestation somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't hang around. I killed one on my wall today, slammed the good shoe into its back and wriggled it around. White noise scraping as the remains fall. This next piece is for someone who's no longer with us, someone who's a part of my life, and it's called Our Last Days. Where did your mind go before you draped your flesh over smooth linen? The vultures peer through frosted windows, knowing you are empty, that they can vomit up your bones after devouring what you have left behind. They say they eat the eyes first to ensure you don't come back, knowing that there are souls who make it to purgatory and fear what they have become. Ghosts are littered around us. One wonders if they remember anything. We can all imagine while your breath lingers on the indentions of the mattress, but we already know. We are our own tragedies that haven't burst yet, little grenades ticking beneath our hearts, waiting for it to pile, for us to make our peace. But we are human. We teach ourselves to misunderstand, to confuse, to keep the morning precious because we cannot disturb ourselves. Mother of all things, you lay there, curves in place because you wanted us to remember the grace you carried with you always. We are to never forget how simple you were, or how the refinement of your character fell from your fingertips. You were beauty, and we were the followers who could only remember this, never who you were, never your name. We'll bury you tomorrow. You'll grow flowers when the time passes.
If you have a book in your hands, if you have purchased a book to help support our next anthology, go to page 8. Beyond your mother's voice hides a place of wonder and imagination where trees lean down to touch your reaching hands, where rivers offer boat rides along their shadow shores, where grasses have not yet been tamed of wildness by edging or mowers, where time slows so you can easily see the lasso tongues of geckos roping lunch, where spirit flies with no need of wings, and silence beats with your voiceless heart, where the only alligator waiting to devour you is your mother calling you home. And the second one is in my native tongue on page 10. On Queen Anne Street, rows of rough red brick houses touched with gray mortar. 6 long steps rise to origami squares of covered porches. In the 7th house from the end, stored in a cool basement-converted coal bin, shelves filled with mason jars of strawberry jam, apricot butter, spiced brandied peaches still await a feather duster. Upstairs in a tiny kitchen, wooden chairs scraped grooves in beige linoleum scrubbed so many times, black diamond patterns fade beneath the bleach. Behind the house, 2 old oaks so strongly grew into each other, one trunk lifted both sets of branches. There in deep shade, my sister, you and I traded rhythm and cadence, a particular way of speaking without accent, Midwest imprinted on each word, a tongue that still speaks of my Missouri home.